test. I'm recording for your birthday so you know exactly what you have in your set. The obvious stuff I'm not going to bother with. All this wonderful grassy looking stuff is foliage to add to your kits for that sense of realism. The sand right there that I'm zooming up on right there, you ain't getting that, because you can go to Walmart and get that in the kids section, art section. So if you need extra sand like that, go on to get that. But you do have ballast down there right here that you can use for a sandy type of thing, and different type of flockings, that snow, and obviously anything here can be colored. You can airbrush it, you can roll it around in some wash. It's just limited up to you. These rolls right here are actually matte finishes that you can cut and paste down, and they'll look just like grasses. So you just cut them to size, glue them down. You can glue them with clear Elmer's glue that I sent you, or this tacky stuff over. Oh, hurt bad. See, you got so much stuff, bro. Hang on, I'm gonna find it. Tacky glue. Here we go, to the front. Tacky glue. You can get this at Walmart too. But this is good stuff because it actually is good. A little tighter than Elmer's and a little firmer than Elmer's, but the clear Elmer's works for anything over here that's real light, like the flocking. You can use that. Always put your mask on so you don't breathe this stuff because it gets real flaky in the air. Here's your strainer. Oh, where's it at? Strainer right there. You can use that to dust your flocking out when you're gluing it down. Put your glue down on your base or whatever, and then just put some flocking in that, and then just kind of powder around. That'll give you even distribution. Here's some more junk brushes just for mixing stuff up. If you need to throw them away, you can. You wash them, you can reuse them. Wonderful. This right here is an automatic instant set for any type of super glue. So if you put it down and spray, it'll set instantly. Sometimes there's a chemical reaction, so have your finger near there. If your finger start burning, that means you got a little bit on your finger, but it won't kill you. Obviously, put your mask on. And you got safety glasses over here. Put them on when you're doing your filing and your prepping of your kits, so you don't get no flakes and stuff flying in your eye, pieces of resin shooting off. This gesso right here is going to be helpful when you go through your airbrush sheets, which are over here. These sheets that you get when you've tested on both sides of them and you ain't got nothing else to test on, you can spray some of this gesso on top of it, and it'll give you a white finish, and then you can practice some more if you need to. This also works for some ground covering because it has a little texture to it, so it'll be kind of bumpy. So you can spray it on a wood base like this, and it'll give some texture once it dries, and you can paint it, add all this wonderful stuff over here to it. I put you 2 packs of plastic trees in here. These branches can be bent, manipulated however you want to, and you can add the flocking, all this wonderful stuff over here, to them. There's actually some flocking packs inside. Plastic trees, sometimes where they look a little cheesy, you can bend the branches and everything else, but I also gave you some real trees in this box, and you have foliage in these boxes that look like this and over here, and they have branches and sticks to them, so they kind of give you more of that tree look, to give you something a little more higher than just the flat static flocking there. It's just up to your creativity, bruh. Your airbrush compressor back here. The important thing about this is, let me zoom up. Right here is your water separator, so it keeps the water out the lines. So what happens is there's a little arrow at the bottom tip of this here. Let's see if I can zoom up. So after you finish using your airbrush for the session, you just come over here and turn this down, and you hear that psh, and all it's doing is clearing the water out. When it stops making that noise, turn it back up, and you're good to go. And there's a little arrow on the indicator there. And then after a while, and this is 5-6 times using it, just look in here. If you see some moisture coming in there, it just screws off. And just be gentle, because that little cork thing in there, you don't want to break that off, but just unscrew it, take it, dump it over, let it drain out, put it back in, you're good to go. Your button to start it is on the rear side. To set your air pressure, you pull up, turn the knob, it'll go up or down depending on the PSI you want, and the regulator's there, and push it down when you want to lock it. Airbrush holder there. Hose to connect to your airbrush, and your line is there. washes pre-made already. So you got all different kind of washes you can use. You can add a little more color to them if you want to. You can add some floral to them if you want to. It's just about being funky, bro. Your airbrush colors are right there. Transparent and opaque. Transparents go on top of opaque, and you can't really put them on heavily because it kind of is a build-up effect. So it's kind of one of them, you know, unique situations. But opaque is more of the main color, and then transparent is something you come on top of it just to get a little funky with it. Your airbrush restores. Let's say for some reason your airbrush gets caked up and you can't seem to get it out. Break it down and soak it in this stuff here for a few hours, and it should get all the dried up, clunked up stuff up there. But if you take care of your airbrush, that shouldn't be a problem. Here is your airbrush extender. If you just want to extend the life, add a little color to it to extend it out. It says on the directions, you can read it. You have next to it clear coat, that's gloss, and the retarder is next to it. So obviously this is the glossy stuff. The retarder is just if you don't want the color to dry real fast, you want to kind of get it all around before it dries, you add a little bit of retarder, and that slows down the drying process. Medium is just another way of kind of making paint go a long way. You can add a little paint to it. That's kind of the base of all colors there. Add a little paint to it. You just basically made your own color. Little mini handheld cleaner there that just helps to keep something near you so you can squirt it right into your airbrush while you're using it. You got a bigger cleaner right there to just replenish when that one goes low. Brush cleaner here. Once again, if some of your brushes get kind of caked up and gummy, you forget to clean them, you soak them in some of this stuff, brother, come right to. Epoxy paste is kind of like your AVs. It's just a different type. Just mix them together just like your normal stuff. And voila, it's not as hard as the other stuff, but it's still rock hard. But you can use it for ground cover, you know, molding kits just like you would your other AVs. Molding paste. This is a wonderful product right here because you can fill lines, holes, things of that nature. It's kind of the consistency of thick toothpaste. Some pieces in there might be like blue cheese. Just kind of mix them up if you're going to use it as a ground cover. Use some of the bigger pieces of blue cheese and just kind of fan them out with one of your junk brushes. You should have some silver, bigger junk brushes, or you can use some of those and kind of feather it out. If you need the light and airy stuff, you can kind of mix it in there and look at it. But that's for all kind of stuff. If you need to fill some holes in, fill some gaps in. You can actually use texture. I've used texture on the bases here to create some kind of funkiness. I use that to do that, so you can kind of paint it down and then pull up on it, kind of stick your brush in there and pull it up, and it kind of gives that wispy effect. It's just left up to your imagination, bro. Silly putty, that's used to mask an area that you've already airbrushed that you don't want to get airbrush on. Let's say you finish your head, you want to spray the coat and the jacket, put some silly putty around the head, spray away, remove the silly putty, it doesn't stick to your paint nor your fixative, so it's a beautiful way to kind of mask off without using a bunch of tape and crap. Self-leveling gel, just if you want a kind of gel effect to put on something, if you want to put some texture on the clear coat, that's all it is. Soft gel matte, kind of like a matte finish, but it's a little tighter, so if you want to add kind of like a wispy, gooey effect or something, you could use that, and it would be matte color. Next to it is the same thing, just in a soft gel gloss coat. This, you know this from spackling walls, you can actually fill in little holes and things on your kit that are not going to be load bearing, that will work real well. Just kind of paint it on there. When it turns white, it's ready. You can sand on it. It's just for little fine holes in situations that you're not really worried about it bearing any weight that you need to kind of seal up. It's just something else. Obviously, I use mold paste a lot, but sometimes that might come in handy. Varieties of Spice of Life. More cleaning brushes. UV resistance is just a clear coat gloss. This is my other matte that I use, just like the matte finish with the Krylon. So you can use that. That'll work real nice. I'm going to stop the tape, start it over so it's not real big. Hang on.